This is Betting Weekly, Extra Time, Euro 2024 edition. 2 group previews coming your way, featuring the hosts and the only nation to win the tournament twice in the last 36 years. You're with Dan Roebuck, and to preview Groups A and B of the action in Germany, Danielle Fisichella and Ruairidh Barlow are alongside me. We're going to start with Group A, boys, and Germany. The hosts, of course, they are minus 335 here to win the group, with Switzerland plus 600, Hungary plus 800 and Scotland plus 1100. Danielle, look, Germany have to be favourites here. They've been a little inconsistent and obviously changed coaches during their time preparing for the tournament. Of course, of hosts, they didn't have to play in qualifiers. So it's been a little bit different for Germany because it's something that they don't do. But obviously, they have to be favourites to win this group.
They have to, also because the home factor is very important, especially at the Euros. We mentioned it in the previous video we did about the winners. There is statistically a 0.45 goals advantage in every single game. Doesn't mean they're going to win every single game, but likely to score a few goals. And in a group which is not difficult to get out of, although there are a couple of traps represented especially by Hungary. Yes, Germany should be considered a favourite. It is a team in transition. The recent results under Nagelsmann, especially the wins against France and Netherlands, have been encouraging. It is a team that is trying to find its system. But I think, yes, Nagelsmann is going to go out to entertain, as he was during his club career. It is a team that's going to play on the front foot. It's got a lot of technical players up front, the likes of Musiala, Wirtz. But let's not forget, there's still a certain Müller hanging on, Joshua Kimmich, Manuel Neuer, still considered one of the best goalkeepers in Europe. Perhaps a little bit light up front with the likes of Kai Havertz and Niklas Füllkrug, but again, a home advantage should count. Yeah, I make them favorite to win the group and ease easily, probably into the quarterfinals, where obviously things gonna get a little bit tougher.
Yeah, it might get tougher down the road for Germany. They have to be favourites to get out of this section. A word on Toni Kroos from you, Rory, and indeed Germany in general. What do you make of Germany and the fact that Kroos has gone back to play in this tournament, having not played for I don't know how long for the national side, but you'd like to think that's a big plus for Germany.
Oh, it's huge. And I mean, Toni Kroos, the one thing that we've learned from Real Madrid over the last few years is that narrative is the king for Real Madrid and their players, and Toni Kroos has plenty behind him for this tournament. I think he will make a big difference because you come in and you have Rudiger there who's at the back, and he obviously said this week that Real Madrid, or Germany rather, need Real Madrid's killer mentality. And I think if you add Kroos in there as well, somebody who can put his foot on the ball in midfield, who knows exactly when to speed things up and slow things down, that does make a big difference, especially if you take it into a Julian Nagelsmann side who sometimes probably just go a little bit too quickly. Kroos will add a little bit of balance to that. And what a wonderful footballer and a chance for one of the greatest stories in football history.
Just sticking on the Spanish Germanic theme, how's Gundogan's form been this season for Barcelona?
Yeah, I feel a bit sorry for him. He has played in a midfield which has been constantly changing, lacking structure, lacking anyone behind him, like he will have in this Germany side with Robert Andrich. I think Gundogan has been playing one or two really bad passes each game, but outside of that, his form has been brilliant. He's been Barcelona's most creative midfielder. He has been the one that has been providing the incisive edge to a Barcelona team that really hasn't had much of one this season. So yeah, Gundogan, probably a bit of an under-the-radar season, if you can be under the radar, at Barcelona as Ilkay Gundogan, because he's their leading assister, I think, as well.
Be interesting to see how Germany go over the course of the tournament. I presume that we're all going to tip them to win the group. There's no real value there. But Danielle, you've got a prop bet involving Germany that you hope will stretch out throughout the tournament here. Talk us through your play.
So crunching the numbers of the highest scoring teams at the Euros and the World Cup, I found out, and it's no surprise, that to be the highest scoring teams in the Euros, you normally need to get to the final. So basically, in the last 4 editions of the Euros since 2008, the top scoring team has won the trophy 3 out of 4 times. Spain 2008, Spain 2012, Italy 2021, the only exception being France, who lost the final in 2016 against Portugal. Looking at the World Cup is the similar trend. France 2022, top scorer team and finalist, Germany and Brazil, top scorer team and winner, and Belgium finished third in 2018, was the top scorer. Now, obviously, since the championship, the European Championship, has been extended to 24 teams, you would expect the number of goals needed to become the top scorer team to be higher. Actually, it's not that much, because 13 goals have been enough to win the crown of top scoring team in the last 2 editions, average 1.85 per game, although Spain play one less game at the last Euros, because remember, in the Euros there is no third place final. Now, when the Euros was contested by 16 teams, 12 goals would have been enough in the last 3 editions. If you look at the World Cup numbers, the high-scoring teams at the World Cup rack up more goals, 18, 16. This has been the average. And that's why, because the quality at the Euro is higher. You don't play, with all the due respect, the Panama of this world where England scored 6 in 2018. Playing against European competition is tougher. The players know each other a little bit better. They are better drilled. So you need to think about a team that can go all the way, or at least to the semi-final and score a lot of goals. Having said Germany, the host team, starts with a little advantage in terms of goals. I do tip them to become the highest scoring sides in the competition, which pays plus 400.
Plus 400. It's been a popular market. It has some good selections, good analysis from Danielle when it comes to Germany. We like Germany to win the group, but then after that is a bit of a scramble between Switzerland, Hungary and Scotland. Switzerland top 2 finish, plus 125, Hungary plus 130, Scotland plus 110. Let's just talk our way through the other 3 nations in Group A. Switzerland, Rory, first of all. Second to Romania in qualifying, which I guess was a little bit of a surprise. They are a side that tend to get out of groups, aren't they? But they're never particularly pretty to watch. What do you make of this Swiss vintage?
Yeah, I mean, they're a side that I backed to get out of the World Cup group, but I'm going the other way for this tournament, it has to be said. If you look at their form since the World Cup, you can say they've only lost 1 in 12, but they've also only won 3 in their last 12. And you look at those wins, they're coming against Estonia and I think it was Andorra. It was one of the minnows. And yeah, the Switzerland side, they have a lot of experience, but I think they're maybe just a little bit too over the hill. I mean, Shaqiri is probably still going to be the main threat. You've got Vargas, you've got Mbolo, you've got a lot of players that on their day can be really, really good, but the Swiss side is quite uninspiring for me, and I don't think they've developed in the right direction since the World Cup. And so yeah, I actually quite like them to struggle in this tournament. And one of my prop picks is Switzerland to not qualify. That's at plus 150. So yeah, that's where I kind of see their tournament going.
Yeah, well, you may as well give us your other prop as well. You've got plus 150 Switzerland not to qualify from Group A, and your other selection regarding the Swiss is?
Yes, under 4.5 goals at plus 100, evens for that. Look, that's the big problem for them is goals. You scroll through the list of games they've had since the World Cup, and they've really struggled to score. You look at the 2 sides that they're going to be playing. Hungary have 3 at the back, and yes, okay, they're a bit more attacking, but it's still 3 defenders to beat. Scotland are going to set up defensively and try and counter Switzerland, which is probably what Switzerland want Scotland want to do themselves to Scotland. So I think these games between Switzerland and Scotland are going to be very tight. The Hungary game, Hungary will be a little bit more ambitious, but I still think they'll struggle against Hungary. And Germany, obviously, it's a bit of a back to the wall job anyway. So I don't see Switzerland scoring many. Maybe they get 2 or 3 goals, and that is enough to see them through. But for me, I think they're going to finish bottom probably, which is a wee preview until the end of the show.
That's an interesting one. We've not got to Scotland just yet, but that gives a nod in the direction of where Rory's going here. Patriotic to the last. That's what we like to see. Danielle, give us your thoughts on Switzerland here. I mean, I looked at the defenders and I thought, well, Akanji and Sharon Rodriguez, Xhaka captain, defensively look sound, but as Rory's pointed out, it's in those forward areas that might struggle. What do you make of Switzerland?
Well, Nicola Graffort played for Milan. We see him in and out. He was probably with a bit of a sub, and now he's got to start from the first minute unless Mbolo is fit. So yeah, that's where the goal threat is going to come. They don't have great goal scorers, but they're extremely organized. Remember last edition of the Euro, they were the surprise package. They knocked out France. Very unlike Switzerland to lose the last game of the qualifiers against Romania and finish second, yes, and not to be able to put a string of successes together. But yeah, a team that probably is going to struggle. But, For them not to qualify, it means they'll have to probably collect less than 3 points. The history of the recent Euros tells us that the third best placed team, 4 out of 6, of course, qualify. You need to have at least 3 points to make it, and you need to have a decent goal difference. So, there have been teams qualifying with a -1 goal difference, but yeah, more than that, and you're gonna struggle. Can they keep it tight, Switzerland? For sure. If they score less than 4.5 goals, they can still go through, but they need to pick up a win somewhere, because I think in the process, they're going to lose either to Germany or to Hungary.
Going to be interesting to see what happens with Switzerland and Hungary, because they are the two sides, according to the book, that will battle for second place. Third might be enough to go through. We shall see. Rory tips Switzerland to miss out, though. Hungary are tipped by Danielle to do well here. Marco Rossi in charge, of course. Dominic Szoboszlai, whose form dipped a little bit, I think, for Liverpool, but he's talismanic for Hungary, Danielle, isn't he? You like Hungary to make the knockout stages?
Yes, everyone mentions them as a dark horse, and we have to say a caveat. Recent tournaments have been really tough for dark horses, with Denmark and Turkey underperforming lately. So do it at your own peril, because you remember Turkey 3 years ago. Oh,
absolutely.
yeah, they're going to be 0 points, crashed out at the group stages. So it is difficult, because this time the expectation for Hungary are higher. Their form leading to the group has been outstanding, unbeaten, qualified top of Group G, ahead of Serbia, currently ranked 18 on the world. That's the highest in over 7 years. So you're not quite a Puskás and Ideguti side, for the people who are old enough to remember, but certainly a golden age of Magyarian football, if you like. Strong home record, still have to be tested outside of home, because when they played in Budapest, it is different. They got a very strong record, but consistent results. Remember 3 years ago, in the group of death, they were defeated by Portugal, who scored twice in the last 5 minutes, almost held Germany to a draw. Then came the Nations League through COVID, but they won 4-0 in Wolverhampton against England, missed on the Nations League final by a goal difference. So yeah, really there or thereabout. The expectations perhaps in this group for them are modest, but they have been underestimated by bookmakers before, and especially they performed well in the Asian handicap and in the 1x2 markets at the European Championship. Especially the profits were on the draws. I remember in 2016 a couple of draws there, a 3-3 draw against Portugal. So if you want to bet on the draws with them, yeah, they're probably going to be with good odds. Goals market tends to be good with Hungary. They can score goals over 2.5. Yeah, it's been a recurrent winning stake. For me, Hungary to finish in top 2 in Group A, plus 130, which ties in well with Rory said. I mean, obviously, Switzerland going to finish bottom. Between Hungary and Scotland, you fancy Marco Ross' side to finish in the top 2, or maybe to win the group. Who knows?
A quick word from you, Rory, on Hungary. You've not selected them to finish in the top 2. Maybe you're going to go for Scotland, I don't know. But your thoughts on Hungary's chances to get out of the group?
No, I mean, they weren't one of my official picks, but I agree with Danielle. Get on Hungary. I think they are the side that I most fancy, because this is such an even 3-team spread. I think it's very hard to predict necessarily just how it will play out. But for me, the crucial game is Scotland-Switzerland in that second one. We'll come on to that, obviously. But if Hungary are facing a Scotland side that needs a result, I like them to exploit Scotland if they have to come forward. So yeah, I do like them to finish second in the group. I think you look at their team, and it's not a team that stands out in terms of names, but yeah, in terms of results, go and look at their games that they've played. They've been really successful. And in Barnabas Farga, who is up front and will not be a known name to myself, to be perfectly honest. I haven't watched huge amounts of Ferencváros this season, but he has been banging in the goals for them. He's got 6 goals and 11 caps for Hungary, and so if they do have an extra kind of edge up front, combined with kind of a solid base to work off, Szoboszlai providing a little bit of quality, that's a recipe for success.
Yeah, Jack Wright incidentally tips Varga to be the top Hungarian goal scorer in one of our prop previews. Let's get to Scotland then. Second to Spain in their group, Rory, as you know, flying high, beat Spain early on. It was almost as if, I don't know how to pitch this. Obviously, Scotland were absolutely flying at that stage and put themselves in a really strong position to qualify off the back of some good results. the results have gone a little bit sour, but they have been playing better nations. I was reading something that Steve Clarke wanted to sort of test his team, so it's difficult to know what to make of the last sort of 6 months, sort of 9 months of Scotland's performances, but I'm sure you can tell us. I mean, they are plus 110, are they, for a top 2 finish here? What are your thoughts on Scotland? Give us the lowdown.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily value for plus 110, especially as we say, we think Hungary is probably...
It's got to be bigger than that, I think I might scribble that one down. So let me have another look at that. So Rory, give us a Scotland thought.
Yeah, I think with Scotland's, it's difficult because you look at their form over the last kind of 12 months and it is disappointing. 1 win in 7, lost to Northern Ireland, flew away against Finland recently. But with Scotland, you do notice a big difference between when they need a result or when there is a lot of competition kind of on the line, and when there's less so. And their results kind of tailed off towards the end of the qualifying campaign. But that was kind of when they knew that they were going to qualify. And I think Steve Clarke tried some things out. Some of it went wrong. And the big issue for them is going to be goals as well. I think with the Scotland side, again, you can look at it and say 1 win in 7. But they've also only lost 1 competitive game since 2022. And that was against Spain, in Spain. And that was a game where the Spanish were a little bit fortunate with a refereeing decision that I will never ever let go. But yeah, Scotland, their biggest problem is going to be goals. I think if they can keep clean sheets against Switzerland or Hungary, they stand a chance. McTominay and McGinn are probably good for 1 or 2 goals throughout this tournament. But that is the big question. Can they keep clean sheets? Can they avoid getting themselves into situations where they need to go out and press opposition or go forward? I think on the counter, they're a really dangerous team. If they have to come out and play, that's where Steve Clarke's side run into big issues.
Nice to get drilled down, so to speak, with all of the figures there. What is going on downstairs in your neighbour's flat, Rory? Do you want to tell us what's going on?
Many apologies. I think if me and this builder with the drill downstairs last the entire tournament, then that will be a big surprise because. I am losing my mind.
Can hear you loud and clear, though. It's absolutely fine. I mean,
Excellent.
it is plus 110 top 2. I thought I'd written it down incorrectly. I don't know why. There's a little bit of an anomaly with the prices there with Scotland's top 2 price. They're shorter than Switzerland and Hungary. I don't really get that. Maybe it's weight of money. Danielle, give us a line about Scotland. Are you fading them? Do you think they might be able to scramble 3rd place or 2nd place to get out of the group? What do you think?
The big question is scoring, because McTominay scored 7 times in the qualifiers from 8 shots on target, and McGinn scored 3 goals, and then there's no one else who scored more than 1 goal. And recently we heard the news about Shankland having an injury, Robertson picking up an injury, so that could be a bit of a setback, especially in the first game. Look, yeah, I agree with Rory. Goal difference is going to be key. If Scotland manages to avoid a heavy defeat against Germany, which they might be, and I'm talking about no more than 2-0 defeat, then they're in with a chance to make it via 1 win and 1 draw. Too many goals conceded in the first game is going to be really, really difficult. But they're very well drilled. They are with Steve Clarke for a while. Certainly they know each other well. They're missing key players as well. I think missing Lewis Ferguson from Bologna is a bit of a setback, gives them a little bit more unpredictability. So it is a shame. But Scotland 11 participation into major tournament. They never made it through the group stage. So hopefully, but this is the best chance they ever had. This is the best squad they ever had.
It's never been easier.
No, yes, there's always difficult groups as well. It's not easy, but this is a good chance. I hope they'll make it. It will add certainly something to the tournament.
Okay, let's get the 1, 2, 3, 4 for Group A. Daniele, what are you going for here? How are we going to rate these nations in terms of finishing position for Group A?
I'm going to go Germany, Hungary, Scotland, Switzerland.
Bit of hope for the Scots, Rory.
Yes, pretty much the same. Germany, Hungary, Scotland, Switzerland. I think maybe it's blind faith, but it's there.
I'm sort of with you with Switzerland. I think they might have been a little bit fortunate in 1 or 2 campaigns over the past, and they all seem to. They don't really add too much when they get to the knockout stages. I thought they were a bit lucky to get beyond France. They were 3-1 down with 10 minutes to go, and then beat them in the shootout in the last Euros. Anyway, we shall see. Germany, very short price favourites we like, and then Hungary. To do well with Daniele, and basically we're fading the Swiss, and we've got fingers crossed but no hard currency on Scotland. That's the way that we see it. Let's move on to Group B. which is Spain, Italy, Croatia and Albania. I guess it's the closest we've got to a group of death, given it's Spain, Italy, Croatia. Minus 125 Spain, Italy, plus 200 Croatia, plus 450. These are the prices to win Group B. Albania are 25 to 1. Obviously, we're going to start with Rory when it comes to Spain here. Don't know too much about the coach, Rory, Luis de la Fuente. I'm guessing it's the sort of usual Spanish style. Have they deviated from what brought them success over the last, 20 years or so? What can you tell us about Spain and who's playing, who's missing, and what sort of chances they've got, not just to win this group, but generally to win the tournament? Oh, still on mute there, Rory.
Many thanks for that, Dan. Just trying to save us all from the drill, man.
From the drilling, yeah.
But Spain, they're a bizarre side because, you had Luis Enrique and his personality was so domineering. His style, his tactics, everything about him was so Luis Enrique. And to the last, there was no alternative. It was my way or the highway. Everything about that team was Luis Enrique. And you come into Luis de la Fuente, who is the polar opposite of that, in the sense that he basically tries to blend into the background. He's into bullfighting. He says, I'm Spanish and Catholic, I'm into bullfighting, and he's not very good with the media. He's a little bit kind of nervous in front of the press. He's the exact opposite of Luis Enrique. So it's an interesting contrast between the two sides. I think he's tried to make the Spain side a little bit more kind of direct, tried to be less dogmatic about that style. But we've seen that teams tried to do that in the past, and Luis Enrique, in theory, was that as well. He was trying to make the side more vertical. So how that plays out, I don't know. I think with the Spain team, they do have a little bit more of an edge in terms of Nico Williams. He's a year or two older, and he's much better than he was at the World Cup. Lamine Yamal, we've seen just how good he can be. And I think the interesting thing for me now is they have Pedri, Dani Olmo, Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams all behind Alvaro Morata. So that's 4 players. You can rotate them in and out that you can use that are providing a little bit of an edge, a little bit of incision. And for Spain, ultimately, I think the big flaw is the back, because I don't think Laporte and Lenormand are necessarily a great partnership at the back. I don't think they're solid. You saw that against Scotland, who, as we say, don't have a good attack. So yeah, I think the Spain side will probably get to the latter stages, but that weakness at the back for me is going to come back to bite them.
We'll get picks from Rory, because there are extensive Spanish interests from Rory in just a second, but we'll get Danielle's thoughts on Spain as well here. They are favourites ahead of Italy to win this group, even though Italy are the defending champions, and obviously we're going to talk about Italy in a second, but your take on Spain, Danielle, and from an Italian point of view, I guess there's a lot of respect there, and they're the side that you're probably fearing in this section.
They're the Nations League winners. They beat both Croatia and Italy 2 years ago in the Netherlands. They qualify well despite the initial stumble against Scotland. Maybe it's a tournament too soon for this young generation, for the likes of Yamal and Nico Williams, but finally they got a bit of cutting edge, someone able to run in behind the defenses. Look, I think 3 years ago they were unlucky not to get to the final. They dominated against Italy, yet they find a way to lose on penalties. And yeah, it depends what sort of issues they're going to face this time. But I think it's a team that's got a very good midfield with Rodri, probably the best in his role. He's the best Spanish player. He's not a match winner player, though, Rodri. He's not going to win you games. He's not going to score a lot of goals, not going to give you a lot of assists. But he's the best you can get. In a midfield with Fabian Ruiz as well, I think they look well. Of course, the concern is that 3 years on from the last Euros, the defense is still the issue. The defense is still the weak spot. They tried endless central defenders, and they haven't found the perfect solution. So we shall see. But probably Spain-Croatia, the best game of the group stage, one that really I'm looking forward to watch.
Yeah, and that just gives you an indication of potentially where Dan is going, because he's got a straight forecast in this particular section for us. But in terms of the group winner, Rory, I mean, you're going all in on Spain here, and just talk us through your plays here when it comes to Spain, because you do like them to win the group, but also you've got half-unit plays on how far they might get. So just talk us through your 3 picks here when it comes to Spain.
Yeah, I like Spain to win the group at minus 125. I think they are favourites, and I think when it comes to Albania, I think they're the most likely side to put a lot of goals past them, which I think works in their favour too. So if they do end up with 6 points and it's a 3-way tie, I think they're probably going to come out on top in goal difference. My top 2 is Spain and Italy. I really like that, plus 225. I think Croatia are a really good knockout team, but in the group stages, you don't necessarily see all their quality come through. It's when they're asked to be resilient, that they're much better, and I'm sure we'll speak about them a bit more in a moment. And then my half unit play, that's Spain to reach the quarterfinals at plus 275, Spain to reach the semi-finals at plus 400. Half a unit on that each way gets you into good profit, and I think it's almost not necessarily guaranteed, but I really like them to reach the latter stages. I think maybe they do draw kind of another Croatia in a sense, a team that will take them all the way in the round of 16. But we know that the quality isn't necessarily as high as it is in that round of 16 as it was in previous Euros. So yeah, I think I really like them to make the quarterfinals, and then beyond that, whether they get to the final, I don't know, but I do like them to go far.
Yeah, I like the plays because it's almost like a ladder play. A lot of bettors like it. Plus 275 half unit quarterfinals, plus 400 half unit semi-finals, but not to win. You won't back them at 8-1 to win, Rory.
No,
short.
I don't feel. You look at both ends and games are won in the boxes. They don't have a clinical striker. Maybe Morata gets streaky, but we know you can't rely on that. And yeah, at the back, I don't see them having a solid backline. Dani Carvajal is brilliant. But beyond that, Grimaldo, Lenormand, Laporte, none of those are kind of guarantees for me at the back. And Italy survived that game through Bonucci and Chiellini in the last Euros, and Spain don't have that.
Yeah, well, Bonucci, Chiellini aren't for Italy anymore, as we know. There's no Acerbi as well, is there, Daniele? Listen, I mean, Rory's already said that he likes Spain-Italy straight forecast. Now, Daniele doesn't. But first of all, Daniele, you're going to have to talk us through the pros, and it sounds like more of the cons for Italy in this section. I mean, they're minus 182 for a top 2 finish here, Italy. I mean, they're 18-1 if you think they're going to finish bottom of the group, and they're plus 200 to win the group. But you've sort of signposted the fact that you might be a little bit down on your side. Daniele, talk us through Italy.
I think Italy are in probably the toughest group they could get. I mean, there are 3 out of 4 teams that are in the top 10 ranks of FIFA, so that tells you how difficult it was. But that's due to the poor qualification campaign. The fact that the wheel came off midway the campaign with Mancini abandoning the team and Italy hiring Spalletti. Now, they're a bit like Germany, but we know home factor Italy. They are a team in transition. They are a team that is trying to rediscover their identity. They are a team that hardly sweep oppositions away. Look at the recent results. They are very small margin victories, albeit a few in friendlies. And when they faced the only top team so far, England, they were second best all over the pitch. Good first half at Wembley. In the second half, the quality of the English came out. I think Spalletti is trying something which is that has to be appreciated. They try to make them play in a sophisticated way with a system of play that is built on their possession, on taking risks in their own half, in the opposition half, and in certain movements as well. Not extremely rigid as we saw Italy under Conte, but with a little bit of creativity. Now he's trying to create a sort of mini Napoli, but it's going to take time, and we have seen in the recent friendly, in the recent games, some players, for example, the Inter players that play so well for the club, they're not quite finely tuned with their teammates in the national team, which it's understandable. I think they need to try to make a decent competition, try to get to the quarterfinals in one way or another, and build the foundation for the next tournament, which they must qualify the World Cup. Otherwise, is a tragedy 3 in a row. But, same problems as 3 years ago. We don't have a superstar in the team. We don't have an Mbappe or an Haaland, but of course, they can make one in 3 years. And we don't have a great striker, although Scamacca scored 12 goals since March. And as you mentioned, Dan, we don't have Chiellini and Bonucci, the 2 professors of defenses at Harvard, as once Mourinho said, which means our plan B cannot just be revert back to the mean, do a bit of catenaccio, defending deep, because those people were built to do that. They were drilled since they were probably 6 years old. Now, with the likes of Mancini, Buongiorno, Darmian, we're also missing Acerbi and Scalvini, both injured. I think Italy can't just expect to defend and bring home the 1-0. They need to try and come out in attack, which is going to be perhaps a little bit tricky. Look, I think Italy will qualify. Having said that, I think they will finish third in the group. They probably win at least one game, maybe get another draw against the Spain or the Croats. But for me, the exact finish order in the Group B is Spain first, Croatia second, plus 500. But Italy, I'm going to stress it, I think they'll qualify.
You'll never be allowed back in Sicily, Daniele, because you're not tipping Italy for a top 2 finish. I hope you've got your summer holidays sorted at a different venue.
Yeah, it's already booked.
So you've said Spain, Croatia for the straight forecast. Give us your thoughts on why Croatia will finish runner-up to Spain. What are they? Because look, there's an awful lot of caps in the squad, as we know, but that means that the midfield is significantly aging at the moment. Why Croatia second, do you think, and that straight forecast plus 500?
Look, I think I would have even topped them first if it wasn't for a few results recently. They lost 2 games in the qualifiers against Wales and Turkey, which is very un-Croatia-like. They are the masters of qualifiers. They qualified 7 out of 8 Euros. Because they are the masters of the tight margins, and I still believe the golden generation of Croatian football, Perisic, Modric, Brozovic, etc., Vida, Ivanusek, I mean, you all know them. They still got something in them. And they know how to play tournament football. They only lost 2 out of 24 of the last tournament games within 90 minutes, but also they only won 2 games within 90 minutes in the last 2 tournaments. It is a team that can drag you down, they can make it sticky, can make it difficult, and they know how to manage the group. I think in a group where, again, the first rule is not to concede many goals, keep it tight. The Croatians are perfectly placed to do that, and probably they don't have the quality of the Spaniards. They might lose 1 game, they won't lose by many goals, and they can finish second. I don't see them losing against Italy, for example. If a draw is what they need, they will get a draw out of the game. You can be absolutely sure about that. But yeah, the experience, of course, it's really, really important. They've been extremely consistent, third at the World Cup, second at the World Cup, Nations League finals. I can't see them crashing out.
Spain to top the group for both of our handicappers. Daniele's gone for Croatia second. Rory's gone for Italy second. We have got Albania to talk about as well. Anything to add with Croatia, though, Rory, from you? Obviously, Luka Modric. I mean, he wasn't starting games for Real Madrid. Does he start for Croatia? I don't know. I presume he has to. I mean, that midfield, as Daniele's just pointed out, I mean, it's aging, but they've got about 400 caps between them or something.
Yeah, absolutely. He starts. I mean, Modric, it's been pretty unfortunate not to start. He's not played badly for Real Madrid this season at all. He's been very good. He just has Toni Kroos ahead of him, and you can't play 2 mid-30s midfielders in midfield in the Champions League. So yeah, Modric ended up dropping out, but he's still absolutely, not necessarily at the top of his game, but he's not far off it. I think with this Croatia side, they're a funny team because they are so veteran, but Ante Budimir is one of the players that hasn't necessarily been in this Croatia side often, and he wasn't until about kind of March, maybe made the November squad as well. But he scored 15 goals for Osasuna this season in a side that did not create many chances. And Croatia, they're going to be relying on being lethal in front of goal. And so I think if Zlatko Dalic does go with Budimir, I think Croatia stand more of a chance, and that will be key for them. If they don't, Kramaric, he's good with space, but does Albania and Italy, do they give them space? I don't know. And then equally, Petkovic, big man up front, but not necessarily a clinical goal scorer at international level. So yeah, I think Dalic has a lot of different options, and that will be down to kind of who he chooses as to how this plays out. And I think an important one to note as well is that Spain-Croatia is the first game. So if Croatia lose that, they then have Albania, and they're then going to have to fix their goal difference in that game going into the Italy game in the last one. So that plays into my thinking as to why I think Italy will finish second ahead of Croatia, because I think there might be slightly more pressure on Croatia than there will be on Italy. But yeah, the two teams, Italy and Croatia, for me are almost level in terms of how I see them.
It's going to be interesting to see who starts up front if it is Budimir. Plus 350 to score the most Croat goals in the competition might be a play. Let's get your thoughts on Albania before we sum up and get you 1, 2, 3, 4 when it comes to the positions. I'm presuming, well, I know given the fact we've got your forecasts here for the group that no one's tipping Albania to qualify. Daniele, what do we know of Albania? A bit of an Italian or Serie A contingent within their ranks?
Yes, we got like 12 players, I think, that play in Serie A, from Berisha to Bairami to Kumbulla, Aslani, who won the Scudetto with Inter. So certainly they know the Italians very well. They know each other. But, the last two managers before Silvino of Albania, they've been Italian, Tramezzani and De Biasi. De Biasi qualified into the Euro 2016, and they left a very important legacy, which was the scouting. 3 million people live in Albania, 9 millions of Albanians around the world. So the federation thought, well, we should start doing a little bit of transfer market and try to get players who can play for Albania to join us. And it's been very, very successful. They developed an algorithm, they developed a system to scout players, and here comes the likes of Yazir Azani and Merlin Daku, who have played for different national teams before and are already delivering a couple of goals in qualifiers. Very important for a team that doesn't score an awful lot of goals. But you got other players, from different acting groups. They speak different languages, coached by Silvino, former assistant manager of Dunga, changed the system as well, Dunga Brazil, of course, change the system, make them a little bit more proactive, but they are still the second lowest ranked team in the Euros behind Georgia. And if you look at the Albanian clubs in UEFA, they are the lowest ranked among the 24 nations participating. So it's a huge, huge task. In 2016, they kept it very well. They did it very respectfully. Lost 1-0, 2-0. They won the last game 1-0. Couldn't qualify due to goal difference. They're going to be hard to beat. But the first game against Italy, maybe they could suffer a little bit, I think. Depends what kind of mindset they go out. I think it's going to be a great experience for them. I can't see them going through in such a difficult group. As I said, 3 out of 4 top teams in the top 10 of the FIFA ranking.
25-1 to win the group, plus 550 top 2 finish, more likely to finish bottom at minus 335, but that's serious minus money. Any lines that bettors might be interested from you, Rory, when it comes to Albania in the Euros this summer?
Yeah, I found it interesting that Broja just to score was at plus 140, which is maybe worth a shot because maybe they pick up one goal, especially if it ends up being kind of a back and forth game and Albania aren't really in it. But no point for me. Plus 137, that's the one I like. I mean, if this Albania side was in a different group, I actually do think that they could probably compete and maybe get a result against someone. But I think all of these teams, Croatia, Italy, Spain, know that they have to win against Albania, and I think they'll get the job done as a result. I think for Albania, they have to go into this, and probably one of the things that Silvino has done is made them more attacking, and that's got them through the group. It gave Czechia a bloody nose. It meant that they were better in the groups. But I think against Spain, Croatia and Italy, they want to be more defensive as they were in Euro 2016 as well. So their approach should be to try and let those other teams make mistakes, let the pressure grow on Spain, Italy and Croatia. But I'm not sure if they have necessarily the quality, or in Silvino, we don't know, but necessarily a man who's willing to sacrifice as much for Albania in terms of defensively as other managers might be.
It's an interesting one. I sort of quite like that plus 137, 0 group stage points. 1 is plus 220 as well. Can't really see him do much. Fantastic stuff, fellas. Let's get the 1, 2, 3, 4 then. We sort of signposted it, but just to confirm it, Danielle, Group B, what's your 1, 2, 3, 4?
Spain, Croatia, Italy, Albania.
My word, Italy third. You'd never be allowed back in. Rory. Yeah. Rory will be allowed back in Spain. He's there at the moment.
But in 2016, Portugal finished third of the group and won the Euros.
Yes, they did. Absolutely. This is it. This is it. There's hope for all. Rory, what's your 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yeah, I'm going Spain, Italy, Croatia, and Albania with respect to the Albanians.
Yeah, I'm with you. If they were in a different group, they might be able to bloody the nose of another country. But I think in this section, they are likely, almost certainly, in fact, to finish bottom. That wraps up Betting Weekly Extra Time Euro 2024 edition. A reminder, we'll be back with you throughout the tournament with the best picks match by match. So stay with us on the road to Berlin. Many thanks to Danielle and to Rory for now, though. From all of us, it is goodbye.